Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tea Talk 2.0. Hey, 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 hey. As always, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jessica, aka Tina. And like always, before we get into talking about all the things today, I'm going to share today's drink of choice. Lately, I have been on such a cold brew kick. So that is what I am drinking today. I have a Trenta Vanilla Sweet Cream Cold Brew, and I use sugar-free vanilla instead of regular vanilla for these. Plus, I add a few pumps of brown sugar in it. So if you're ordering a Trenta, I always do 5 sugar-free vanilla and 3 pumps of brown sugar. And it's delicious. So, cheers. My ice shaking is your little ASMR for the day, guys. Slaps. All right, so we have already officially finished the first week of the new year. How we feeling about it? We're almost done with week 2 by the time this comes out. I have been feeling really good lately. I have been sticking to my workout schedule, which I'm very, very proud of myself for. I don't know. I feel like I've just been like really on top of things. I feel like every time I start getting into a good workout routine, everything else in life just falls into place. And I do feel a little bit more like motivated doing everything in life. So, yeah, the gym has been really good. I've been lifting kind of hard. My muscles are really sore. Last night I went for my first run since before I had my knee surgery. I I had my knee surgery last year in July, and I can't remember when I ran even before that. It must have been like the turkey trot from Thanksgiving the year before. So I think it's been a hot minute. And so I was kind of scared to get back on there and do it, but I just did a treadmill run. I prefer outdoor runs, but it's still been cold as balls outside, so I haven't done that. So I went for a mile, and like when I just started, it just felt like so natural and easy. And I ran my mile in just under 10 minutes, which I was really, really proud of that because I thought it was going to take me like a lot longer. And so I feel like I'm going to get back in the groove of like running really quickly. Not quickly, it's been a really long time, but I'll be able to start doing that more. And I'm excited for it. And what else has been going on? Not a whole lot. Just taking things day by day. I've been feeling really good, really happy, really chill. All the good things. I started a new Zumba class. I am now teaching a morning Zumba class, 5:30 a.m. I started doing that last week, and we're doing it at a new location. I'm doing it at the Gila Valley Chair Place, which is really cool and really fun. The space is a lot bigger than what I'm used to lately, and it's just a different feeling working out in the morning and starting your day like that. I feel like it's really like it's a good wake up call. So hopefully I'll get more people to start coming to that class. I think it's really, really fun. And then I'm still got my 2 night classes going during the week at JD3 Fitness. And hopefully this week we'll get some new people going in there as well. What else has been going on? Not a whole lot. Just been big chilling and working out and all of that. So this is airing on a Tuesday the 14th, which also happens to be mine and Patrick's 2-year marriage anniversary. So him and I thought the same thing. Like, what better way to celebrate today than to talk about how we feel about marriage? And he will not sit here and talk on a podcast with me, but I did have him send me a text, and I told him I want to know your opinion on like what makes our marriage work. Because the thing is like everybody is different and everybody has different relationships. But I just kind of want to share with you guys what works for our relationship, not just the last 2 years being married, but really the last 5, 6 years of knowing each other and loving each other, and how I just feel like our relationship is one of the healthiest, if not the healthiest relationship that I've ever been in. And so I just kind of want to give you guys a little insight to what we think makes a good relationship and a good marriage. Again, like I said, this is going to be our 2 year wedding anniversary. In case you guys don't know our little lore, we got engaged in the summer of 2022, and we had originally planned to get married in the fall of 2024. It was New Year's of, going into 2023. And when we decided the next day, like, well, why, we pretty much feel like we're already married. What is stopping us from just making it official? And so we did decide to elope, and it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made personally, just to be able to share that intimacy and that love and that day with someone I know loves me to their core. And I love that. I feel like weddings kind of have become a competition and kind of like a show to show who can do the most and show out the most, where the real true meaning of it kind of got lost in the sauce. It's about celebrating a love and a commitment between two people. And I really, really, really wanted to emulate that for us because I feel like mine and Patrick's relationship is so genuine. It's just way more special than just something to showboat for one day. We wrote our vows and we got to share those with each other. And I get so, I'm so amazed by the things that he says and the things that he does because he never ever fails to surprise me, especially with his words and like him expressing all his love and gratitude for me. It's such an amazing feeling and it's something that I'll always be grateful for. Patrick is like such a chill, quiet guy. And I feel like I'm the only one that's really ever get to see him like in his full potential and his full personality because I always tell everybody, I'm like, he is so funny. Like, he is the funniest person I know. And he's like one of the smartest people I know. And he just like, he never fails to surprise me. So, like, every day I'm always like cracking up at just random things that he'll tell me. And like, and just, he makes me so happy. And there's just like a million things that I could tell you about him and why I love him. And I think we joke a lot about how we don't believe we don't think people believe that our relationship as is as good as we say it is. Because a lot of the time people will just kind of like they'll say things on social media to make their relationships look better. They'll only show the good, they won't show the bad, like, the typical stuff. But it's not the case with Patrick and I. Like, I feel like our relationship is really, really genuine. And the thing with him, and I will always, always tell people that I can't get myself to say a bad thing about him. I can't say, like, if he has any bad habits, like, nothing ever, like, comes to my mind when people are complaining about their significant others and just things that they could change about them. Like, there's nothing that I would really want to change about him or nothing that I have to complain about him because I have experienced relationships that were a complete 180 to what we have. And he is a saint compared to everything else that I've experienced. And not saying that the bar is set low, he just exceeds all of the expectations that I've ever thought that I could actually receive in a relationship. I know I've had past relationships where one specifically, I asked him, we were together for a while, and a lot of people around us were already getting like engaged and married and having kids and just moving forward in life in that way. And I remember asking him one time, I said, are you happy, or do you think you're settling? Do you think we're settling for each other? Because at this point, we'd been together for like 3 years, and we weren't really like, there was never really any talk about like marriage and babies and things like that. There was really no like communication at all about like what the future was going to hold for us. And I know that those were things that I did want, but it wasn't something that we shared common interest in, especially at the time. And I remember his answer to my question. He said, like, of course, I feel like we're settling. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And I just didn't like the response. I didn't like the answer because what I was saying was like, do you think this is as good as it's going to get? And I'm so happy that I didn't end up with that person ultimately, just because I know we didn't share the same wants and, you know, desires for a future together, and it wouldn't have worked anyway. I think with Patrick and I, right from the beginning, we have always had an open line of communication. For us at first, it was stating boundaries that we weren't allowed to catch feelings. Patrick and I started as like friends with benefits. I'm just going to call it what it is. And it's really funny now to talk about because of how our relationship is now versus then. The thing with us is that like he just didn't think he could be in a relationship with anybody. He didn't think he would make a good partner. And for me, I was just getting out of something very long term, and I just kind of I didn't want to like dive back into another relationship. I wanted to spread my wings and fly. um, and he respected that, and we both set boundaries that we weren't going to catch feelings. We were going to be able to do whatever we wanted to do. And that was that. One of the big things in our relationship is communication. And I kind of just want to read what he wrote about that to you guys. So he said, our communication has been a strong pillar, pretty much creating the existence of our relationship from day one. We've never strayed from telling each other everything when we ask any questions, regardless of the outcome, which, in retrospect, has given us unfathomable trust in each other. And it's true. Like, there's just something about Patrick that has never made me want to deter from telling him the truth about anything. If he's ever asked me a question, I tell him, whether it be something that has happened in a past relationship or how I'm feeling. I have just never wanted to stray away from telling him the truth, and I've never even hesitated in doing it. So I think that's really important and has been really a strong, like he said, a pillar in our relationship. I've been with people who have kind of just either not communicated with me at all. So I'm sitting here second guessing and thinking, what if this and what if that? Versus I've had also relationships where I feel like I could tell the person the truth and then it backfire on me later on. And that's also one thing that I really, really love about him is that Patrick and I have very different paths, um, especially when it comes to relationships. And for me to be able to open up to him about what I think hasn't worked in previous relationships and him not using it against me or comparing himself to other people is really important. because I just know that like when I'm expressing the things that I've learned, because I'm constantly growing and learning and thinking back and, like, would this situation have worked out if I had done XYZ differently? And what I really appreciate about him is that he knows that I can look back at things and realize why it didn't work at the time that it didn't work. And I don't have to worry about him thinking that I'm comparing him to this person or that person. I'm not. Um, I'm just kind of like assessing the situations, and I'm very grateful that I have somebody that I can do that with. Not only the communication that's really strong with us, but the comprehension. I think a lot of the time people say that communication is key, and I agree with that. And I'll say that, all the time as well. But it's not just about communication, it's about comprehending what your partner is trying to come across and saying. And again, I think that ties into um the fact that he doesn't compare himself to other people when I bring it up. He knows that that's not the reason I'm bringing it up. It's because I'm trying to share the experiences that I've had before, and for us to be able to share those stories, it kind of helps our relationship because then it lets us know that that's not something that I'm okay with. That's not something that he wants to do, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to make each other happy. And if this has happened in the past, he's not going to do something similar to it to make it into our relationship or to our future. So communication and comprehension is like a big, big, big factor in our relationship. There is nobody that I'd rather tell anything to than him. As soon as something good happens to me, I want to share that good news with him right away. If there's anything that's like making me upset or hurting me or like frustrating me, like he's the person that I want to tell all the things to, because he's just so easy to talk to and he's so understanding and compassionate with my feelings. And I've never had anybody be so like willing to listen to me, like truly listen to what I'm saying. And not only that, but to help just kind of understand and put himself in my shoes and then like see it from my point of view. He does that a lot of the time. Is just tries to see where I'm coming from in situations. And the thing with him too is like I know that he has my back 100% of the time, but I will always ask him. I'll say, "Do you think I'm wrong for this? Like I want your honest opinion. Do you think I'm wrong for saying this or for feeling this way? Do you think I'm over exaggerating?" And I trust him to give me his honest opinion. And that kind of ties into another thing that works in our marriage: support. And again, I'm just going to read off what he says about it. He says, "No matter what you want to do, either on a whim or a serious life changing decision, I've always respected what you decide and to not stop you from making your choice. I admire how strong and dedicated you are to have and want to accomplish the goals you set for yourself." It's true. I do a lot of things on a whim, and sometimes I make decisions just based on how I'm feeling. And some of those decisions have been like the best decisions of my life. And I think he knows that. I think he knows that he trusts me to have good judgment and to not do anything too reckless. And I really, really appreciate that. I've never had anybody who not only says that they support my dreams and ambitions, but also actually shows it. For example, just a random example with this podcast, he has been so supportive and like encouraging, and he's talked through ideas and bits with me. He is even the one that purchased me this microphone right here that I'm using. And so he knows that I do things and sometimes I kind of fall away and off the wagon with what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, he really does truly support everything that I want to do. He supports me when I want to go back to school. He supports me when I want to make a career change. And vice versa, I feel like I support him as well. And I support him in different ways. I support him by being the best wife that I feel like he deserves. He truly is the best person that I know. And one of the ways that I feel like I can show him that I care about him and that I appreciate him is by being a good partner and being supportive in the way that if he's had a long day at work, I'm just like, hey, just kick off your shoes, go take a shower, just relax, support him by making him dinner, and I support him by letting him come home to a clean house on the days that I'm able to be home all day. And to support him also by letting him know that it's never too late to change the things that you want to do in life. Patrick's had the same career for like 10, 11 years, which I think is crazy that he can do that. I'm jealous. I've never been able to be committed to something that long. But I always tell him, I'm like, you're so smart and you're so capable that if you ever wanted to try something else and you wanted to go a different path, just know that that's something that I completely support. And even just saying that I am supportive if there was ever anything that he wants to do differently in his life, I think makes him happy. So we really do just support each other in different ways because of our personalities, but I feel like we support each other because of our different personalities and like I'm very ambitious and random and I can do things on a whim all the time, and he's very supportive of that. He's very supportive of me and my go get 'em personality, and I'm very supportive of his chill, wants to be stable, lifestyle, and it works. It just works for the both of us. And along with support comes compromise. And that's something that he actually brought into the conversation that I don't really think too much about, but it's something that's important to him. And he says that works for us. Um, he says, exposing myself right here with this one, but he says, when you're moody, upset, or anything alike, I do what I can to help you with a positive response and attitude without resistance, limiting an attitude from both of us at the same time. Preventing unnecessary arguments. Like if the house is a mess, we don't argue or force each other to clean it. We respectfully understand that we have to deal with daily and end up cleaning it whenever we have the energy or motivation as a team, which is very, very true. And I think a lot of the time, too, is that people don't get that understanding of our relationship because a lot of the time there's this stigma and an old school thinking that I'm the wife and I have to do all of the cooking, all of the cleaning, and everything. But up until recently, like I also had a full time career. And so Patrick doesn't expect me to be the wife that cooks and cleans and presents myself the way he needs me to present myself. All of that old school marriage thinking is what I like to think of it as. He just expects me to do my best and vice versa. I don't expect him to do anything more than he is capable of doing. We both work, we both are tired sometimes. We both have long days. We both have to handle the kids and we take turns, and sometimes we'll get it done together and it's easy. It's a process. I know there'll be times where I get into like my deep cleaning modes and he'll just see me going for it and he'll hop in wherever he can. And there's some days, especially within the last like year, where I just have bad day after bad day. And there have been days where I can't get myself to get out of the bed, or days that I can't get myself out of the couch. And he really has taken the reins and kept up with the kids and kept up with the house and dinners, and I'm so appreciative of it because I've never had anybody not expect, like, have those expectations of me and get disappointed when there's just times where I can't. And likewise, he has a very demanding job. Lately in the last week, the weather's been crap. He works outside. And so when he comes home, I'm like, you don't need to do anything. Just hang out, relax, and, you know, take your mind off of it. And I got this. So we do have a pretty good partnership when it comes to that. And we understand each other. And we're not going to nag at each other for things that we are both capable of doing, but we just don't have either the time or the energy to do it. And I think that's completely fine because we both know and we both have this understanding that at the end of the day, it will get done when we are ready to do it. So I am very appreciative of him in that sense, for not making me feel like I have to do everything all the time. It's so comforting to know that he knows that I'm human and I'm not superwoman. Another thing that makes our marriage work, according to Patrick, is commitment. He says, at the end of the day, I'll be here with you, and I've never had or even wanted to stray from what we have. I'm always by your side and even choose your side regardless of what the situation entails. And it's true. I have never been with anybody that I feel like makes me feel like I need to be doing more or makes me feel like I need to compare myself to other people for him to give me attention. When we started seeing each other, we did have our boundaries. Like I said, we talked about them. And at that time, I felt a little insecure and I felt like I needed to show up and show off for him to pay attention to me. But really, it's just like that's just the type of person he was. He wasn't out being a socio or anything like that. He was just to himself. And that's not something that I was used to knowing in men typically. I never felt like I was with anybody and I had their full undivided attention, which is crazy if you think about it. It makes me feel like maybe that is something that is an insecurity of mine. But I just feel like if you're with somebody that you don't have eyes for anybody else. And likewise, I've been with people and I've noticed other people and maybe they have felt the same way about me. But it's like as soon as me and Patrick made things official, I never felt like I was competing with anybody. And he never made me feel like I was in competition with other girls or anything like that. He and I had this just instant connection that I don't know. It's so crazy because what we share and like my attraction for him is unreal. Like, I am so attracted to him. It's crazy. He'll come home from work all dirty and like, in his work clothes and just like tired. And I'm just like, man, you were just like the hottest person I know. And I tell him that all the time. And he gets so bashful about it and stuff, but it's true. Like, he is my absolute favorite person. And the way that he treats me is something else that like makes me know. I don't know, maybe the way he treats me and is kind to me and really is there for me, shows up for me, is what makes me like 10 times more attracted to him as well. And I always tell him, I'm like, you're a really attractive person, right? And he's like, nah, nah, nah. He's like not full of himself whatsoever. But I've never felt, since we've been together officially, I've never felt Like I'm in competition for his attention, and I don't feel like he's going to stray away from me for somebody else. I think for the beginning of a relationship, it was kind of in the back of my head because I was like the first real relationship that he had been in. And in my mind, I always thought like maybe he's going to realize like there's more out there. What else is out there besides me? And he assured me right away because, again, our communication, I expressed that concern to him, and he assured me, right away when I brought up that concern that he wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't looking for anything else. And again, I believed him, I trusted him, and obviously it was a good choice because here we are, like almost 6 years later, and still we're so attracted to each other and we love each other and we're so committed to each other. I've never been with anybody else that I look back and think, what if with other people? I never look at other guys and think to myself, like, I want to stray away from him. I would never want to give up what I have with Patrick for anybody else. It's not worth it to me, and it's not something that has even ever come across my mind. He gives me everything that I need. He loves me unconditionally. He supports me in all my craziness. He knows about my mental health and checks in on me, especially when I need it. We're just like so in tune with each other. And I don't think you find that a lot of the time. And to give that up would be crazy on me. I always tell him that, like, if he decides he's sick of me one day, sorry about it. You're gonna be stuck with me. We're gonna be roommates at that time because there is no way that I'm gonna be able to start over again. And I don't want to. I want to be with Patrick till the end of my time. And one thing that we also always bring up and talk about is that, like, if he goes before me or if I go before him. And honestly, I can say that there's nobody that I'd want to be with after being with him. I feel like he is my once in a lifetime true love, my absolute soulmate. And it took me a really, really long time to find him. And I don't want to spend that time trying to find anybody else. So I think if anything were to happen, I would just know that I'd be happy that I got to live a life loving Patrick. And there's nobody that would come close to sharing what we have together. One of the things that he wrote to me about our marriage is love. And he said, aside from key factors, the most obvious is that I love you very much. And I make sure to tell you every single day. I may not give you all the attention every single day, but I do give you attention when you need it and want it most, especially when we are alone. And it's true. I'm very needy, and physical touch is my love language, and he knows this. But I'm also realistic about the fact that I know that he can't be all over me all the time. I know that we are adults and there are things that we need to prioritize. But at the end of the day, even if we have spent a crazy week working, dealing with kids, doing all the things, all the adult things, there are times where we'll lay together in bed at night and we just talk and we catch up and we check in on each other. And I think that's really important, is that you're constantly checking in on your partner because, like I said, the weeks can get away from you and you have to prioritize and make that time to make sure one another is good. Like I said, especially with me, he knows about like my mental health struggles and things like that. And so he really is so good about checking in and just watching, like, to make sure that I'm good. He can tell when something's off or when I'm kind of not being as enthusiastic or energetic as I usually am. And he'll pause and check in on me and ask if there's anything that he can do. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that he doesn't just kind of let things like that slide under the rug. And because he knows that when I'm good, we're good and everything is good, and vice versa. I know that he does love me, and I know that he cares about me. The last year was a real test of our marriage, I feel like. I know a lot of people say, they call the first year of marriage, your honeymoon stage, and you're so in love and all the things are good. And they're like, just wait until, the trials kick in and you guys start fighting and arguments and things like that. Well, the thing with me and Patrick is like, we don't argue. We don't see the need for it. He just doesn't want to ever argue with me. And like, same with me. Like, I don't ever want to fight with him. And so the tests of our marriage really came about when we went through our miscarriage. And he was really there for me in a way that I needed him to be. I just remember crying so hard and what felt like for hours. And all he did was lay with me and hold me, and he let me cry. The thing with Patrick is that anytime I'm going through a hard time, he lets me grieve the way that I need to grieve. And then when I'm ready to talk about it, he'll be there and he'll listen. And I really appreciate that he never pushes me to express more than I'm able to at the moment. And I really, really appreciate the fact that he'll let me grieve the way that I need to. And one of the first real big trials in our marriage was going through that miscarriage together. And me feeling like I let him down somehow. It was a tough loss for both of us. And we both grieved together. And we talked about it. And we really worked through it together. Before, I felt like I dealt with those types of situations by myself. And it took a lot longer to go through, to grieve through, because I was doing it alone. With Patrick, I never have to go through anything alone. He's always there for me. He always supports me. He uplifts me. And he really, really just is a graceful presence in my life. And I feel like there's so many things that I've gone through mentally in the last couple of years that if I didn't have him, I don't know what life would be like for me. And so I'm just so grateful for a husband who doesn't let me go through the hard things alone and knows that life is not perfect, and nor does he pretend it is. But knowing that we have each other to support each other and go through those things together is incredible. And it really is truth to me that healthy and happy relationships do exist. I also went through a hard time last year because one of my really good friends, who was basically family, passed away. And that was the first time I'd ever lost a friend in my adult life. And so it really hit me differently. And when I told him the news, again, he held me, told me he loved me, and he supported whatever choices I needed to make to get through that time. I always take into account the fact that this is like Patrick's first relationship. And so he's still learning about how to be not a good partner. I don't want to say that because he is a great partner. He is amazing. And I couldn't ask for anybody better. But I feel like he's still learning about like just the common things that I think most people just kind of know how to be a good partner, or not a good partner, just to be a partner in general. And what I appreciate about him is that he learns about me and grows with me so that he can be a better partner, if that makes sense. So he caters to being the partner I need him to be for me, rather than just what he thinks everybody would need, because I'm not like everybody. There are certain things that I need specifically, and vice versa. And I think that's why a lot of the time people don't believe me or believe us when we say that our relationship is really good and we don't fight and we don't argue. And it's because we have a mutual understanding of what each other needs and we don't see the need for it. And again, I appreciate him so much from the depths of my core. I don't have to complain about anything with him because he's great. And I couldn't ask for someone better, especially at this time in my life where I'm about to be 30. And I never thought that I would find somebody that just grooves so well with my lifestyle. And it's something that I wouldn't change for the world. I want to read you this last little bit that he sent to me about our relationship and our marriage. And he said, "There are many things that are right and wrong in a marriage, but I think the thing that works best for ours is our strong ability to communicate. We've created our whole relationship from our ability to communicate, and the thing that will affect our marriage the most would be the lack of communication. Those that lack communication create one-sided battles and what-if scenarios that end up weighing heavily on the mind and even ruining relationships. Regardless of the outcome, we have to be willing to communicate, listen, and even compromise to the answers we might get, even if it's not what we want to hear. If we are unable to start a relationship based on communication, I doubt we'd ever last in a marriage." My Patrick is so wise. And he just gets it. I don't think we would have lasted as long as we did because I really needed a partner that would talk to me, and listen and put themselves in my shoes and just really understand a lot of the things. And as I look back to the past 5 years, I love thinking back about where we started and where we are now. And the way we started was a little unorthodox, but it just seems like it was another life ago. Because when I met him, I was so messy. And the fact that he could love someone like me, the person that I was, is truly amazing. And we've had conversations that I told him that, because we didn't know each other, in high school, we didn't meet till we were adults. And I told him the more that we talked about our past and stuff, I'm like, you're probably somebody that I would definitely have liked. Like, he definitely is somebody that I would have liked and probably tried to date. But at the same time, I told him once that the person that I was then definitely didn't deserve the person that he is. And I've made my share of mistakes in the past with relationships. And I've done things that I'm not proud of in those relationships. But I think going through those, I guess, mistakes helped me to really appreciate and know, kind of solidify that there was nothing that I would do to ever intentionally hurt Patrick. I would never, ever want to stray away from him. I would never want to make him feel like he is in competition with anybody else. I would never want him to feel like he did something that made me think he was undeserving of my full, undivided love. I hear the way that people talk about their partners sometimes, how they complain about them, and things that I've experienced myself. And I'm just like, don't put up with it, because there is somebody out there who is ready and willing to give you the love that you deserve, the love that you want, the love that is specific to you. And I think we just kind of get ahead of ourselves. And especially with living in a small town, it's easy to get wrapped up in the fact that everyone around us is getting married and having babies and starting their lives. But the thing is, it's never too late to find the love of your life. There are so many people in this world, and it's crazy how I ended up with someone that I never even met until I was 24. And by then, I'd already had like a handful of serious relationships. And I really did think that maybe the love that I admired from my friends just wasn't a possibility for me. I have a couple of friends that have been married for over a decade, or that have been married for a decade and been with their partners since high school. And I always watched and I thought, that's beautiful. And I think their relationship is beautiful, and how they treat each other with such kindness and grace and support is beautiful. And I always wondered why that kind of love wasn't finding me. It also depends on the situations that you're putting yourself in and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. I luckily found Patrick through a time where I was re-finding myself. And, we did meet in a bar, but luckily for me, that was the last man I will ever meet in a bar and end up with. But I think that if we want to change the relationships that we're ending up in, we have to change our perspective and really prioritize ourselves. I think Patrick saw that I was full of potential, and he never tried to keep me from doing anything that I wanted to do when we were just, friends with benefits. And so that really made me think he's not going to try to change who I am. And still, the thing is, it's he has changed me, but it's not because he's told me that I need to change. He's changed me into a better person, and I feel like he's changed me into a softer version of myself. And he's made me more chill. I have never been with anybody that I just wanted to stay at home with on Friday nights and just relax and hang out and watch movies and laugh. And he's my favorite person to do all the things with. And I'm so thankful that we've gotten to spend half a decade together. And I'm looking forward for so many more years to come for us, in the plans that we have and the love that we share. I always get so emotional talking about how much I love Patrick like this, because there's just not enough kind words that I can say about him and the person that he is, and how much I appreciate everything that he's ever done for me. I've prayed and prayed and prayed for so long for a love like we share. I truly believe that everyone deserves a love like what we share. And I hope that people end up with the people that make them tear up, not from sadness and what ifs in their relationship, but tear up thinking that the love that they have is so strong. It doesn't seem real sometimes. I get really scared thinking about losing Patrick. My heart wouldn't handle it. But again, I know that if anything ever happened, I'd be so thankful that I got to spend time in this life with such an amazing person. I just want to spend the rest of my life showing him how much I love him and appreciate him. And I know that our future is going to be so great because we have each other. And right now, we're in a season where it's about our kids and it's about our family. But one thing that I know too is at the end of the day, we'll do everything we can to remind each other that we love each other and what our relationship is based on: communication and trust and love and just being there for one another unconditionally, no strings attached. I love him so much, and I will never, ever, ever. There's nothing that ever makes me want to pretend like the love that I have for him is like minimum. I would shout it from the rooftops. Everyone knows that I love Patrick Minor. I'm really excited that we get to celebrate another year of marriage together. And I'm really excited for all of the years to come. It's one of my favorite things to do is celebrate our love. And I know that at the time that we always spend reminiscing about our past and what got us to where we are today. And I think it's wonderful to have a love so real, so raw, so genuine. And I really, really hope that that's something that everybody can find. I think it's beautiful. I think it's worth waiting for. And I think it's worth putting the work in for. So that's mine and Patrick's tea on what makes our marriage work. Take our advice and our words how you will. It's worked for us this far. So just saying. I do want to know what you guys think makes a good marriage, what works for your marriage, how long you've been married, and how long you've been together, and what makes you think that love is real. That's what I want to know. So if you're watching YouTube, drop a comment. If you follow me on social media, let me know like what you guys think about love and marriage. And if you're not married, what you're looking for in a partner, what's important to you, what are your standards, what are your values, because that's something I feel like you need to put into the world, manifest it, if you will. I think once you start really believing in it and putting it out there into the universe, it'll come to you. And that's kind of like what Patrick and I did. We both decided at that time in our lives that we were just going to do things to make us happy. And if a relationship were to come from it, then it would come and we wouldn't resist. And look where we are now. So really put yourself out there, put your words into the universe and what you want, and don't settle for less than what you know is amazing. Not every day is perfect. And there are trials that you're going to have to work through. But I think the point in having a good partner is that you guys are going to work through them together. And I'm so thankful for my partner in life. my very best friend. Happy 2-year anniversary, babe. I don't think he listens to my podcast. As a matter of fact, he doesn't listen to my podcast, but I'm going to go in the living room right now and tell him all the things that I talked about today. That is all the tea I have on mine and Patrick's marriage. If you are following me on social media, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Remember that the podcast is available anywhere that you can listen to podcasts, and the video version is available on YouTube. But that is all the tea that I have for you guys today. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.